There is a planet in our solar system called Jupiter that we don't usually think about. We take it for granted, and if you ask someone what life would be without it, they'd probably think it would be the same. Jupiter, though, protects Earth from cosmic space junk swirling around our solar system, and without it, Earth would be a barren wasteland. There are many things like that in our world. Companies in our economy, creatures in our environment, gases in our atmosphere, without which life as we know it would not be possible. It is hard for us to comprehend how beautiful, fragile, and complicated our existence is. Today, it's time for us to make decisions that will affect our existence and how we live for generations to come. We have to think about issues involving race, police, the environment, the economy, and technology. Race is a big issue today, and it's one of the most important things on the national spotlight that we have to be able to look at. There's a great show called Star Trek, and in it, they let you imagine what it would be like to have a completely different perspective, what it would be like to live on a different planet in a different culture, and have a completely different view of the universe and reality. The idea is that sometimes it's hard to look at to talk to people who are different and to really understand what it's like to be them. And sometimes we have prejudices when we meet people that are different because sometimes it's scary to be around someone who isn't like us. But it's a really beautiful experience to open your mind to something new and think in a way that you've never thought before. Race is something that challenges us to do. Many people in our country that have different races really aren't that different in the way they think, the way they speak, and what they do. But prejudice is still a big issue today, and we have to address that. We have to figure out why it is, and we have to figure out how we, as individuals, can do what we can to not be prejudiced against others. We also have to send a thank you to our police. Anarchy is not fun. If you've ever seen videos of the Middle Ages, you'd know that it's hard for us in our simple, easy, modern world to think about what it would be like to have to fend for ourselves and to be in constant danger. The police are what keep us safe and why we can go to stores, we can live our lives and not have to worry about what it would be like to live in the Middle Ages. The police are like Jupiter, oxygen, and water. It's easy to forget them and take them for granted. Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter are issues on the front of the spotlight. But one of the problems is that when we look at these, it tends to make us think that these issues are somehow on separate teams, that the idea of thinking about people in other races and being respectful and fighting prejudice, and the idea of supporting our brave men and women who help protect us from danger are somehow opposites on other teams. This idea is dangerous, and it's part of what's creating the problems. There are of shootings, and we need to do what we can to make sure that these don't occur in our community. If we get to know our police officers and we send them thank you, and we invest in education, volunteer in our community, and make our communities stronger and more resilient, then it is likely that these tragedies won't happen in our community. The more we volunteer and the more we work to get to know the people in our community, the more crime will go down and the more prosperity and happiness will go up. And the more we work to know our police, the better off our community will be. And we can learn a lot of things from talking to them. It's actually a very enjoyable experience because they have high stakes and important jobs that we can and we can learn a lot from their experience. We need to protect our environment. There are many creatures that could be that are endangered, and we need to protect them. As we speak, species can be disappearing from the face of the planet. Every species could be a new medical breakthrough, could have some new technology, or could be one of the things that's helped keeping the ozone in. And we need to understand that humans are part of the ecosystem, and if our ecosystem gets damaged, then humans will be in trouble. The environment is the legacy that we will have to give to our children, and we need to protect it and make sure that it's healthy so we can hand it to them in the best of shape. People constantly reinterpret words and events, and this can be done in ways that drive our nation. But recently, we've been doing a lot. People have also been complaining about political correctness, and others are complaining about people complaining about political correctness. They voice their opinions. How are our children going to be able to handle questions like when it is and is not okay to have war, how we can deal with the complicated aspects of discrimination, standing up for your beliefs become terrorism, if they are afraid to discuss controversial ideas. Open discussions are paramount to the modern world, Western civilization, and our country. And while it is dangerous for people to have their own ideas and opinions, it's not half as dangerous as the alternative. If we live in a world where somebody's reputation and culture can be destroyed in seconds because they say something stupid, we can't have open discussion and really listen to what others have to say. We also need to address the virus threatening our community. Masks aren't fun. They're really not comfortable, and we don't like them. But unfortunately, we have to play the hand we're dealt. Be overly optimistic about it, but we also don't want to be overly pessimistic. It's easy to think of it as an inconquerable force that we can't get rid of. But if we can think that we want to send a man to the moon and then decades later actually do it, we can get rid of the coronavirus. As coronavirus as the immovable building, and us the ivy that has to grow on it and accommodate ourselves and our lives to it, and start thinking of ourselves as the building and coronavirus as the ivy that has to change. If we stayed inside for 2 weeks, say the first 2 weeks of March, the coronavirus could be completely gone. If we decided that we are going to declare a war on coronavirus and be completely serious about it and only go outside for walks and buy food in advance from the grocery store and possibly have stars perform while we were inside for only 2 weeks, then the coronavirus could be almost completely extinguished. Summon all our strength, put aside our differences, and work together to save our world and to make it better for our grandchildren.